Okay, in this video we're going to be changing the oil and filter on a 2009 Volkswagen CC with a 2.0 liter engine. I just want to show you that we're going actually underneath the car. Pretty much in the center of the vehicle is where you're going to find the oil drain plug. The oil drain plug itself is right here. We're going to take that plug out and we're going to drain the oil, and then we're going to lower the car down and I'll show you where the filter is up on top. So let me get this tool and I'll get started on it and I'll show you how that goes. The socket itself is a 18 millimeter socket. Obviously you're going to have a bucket to drain the oil into, and we're going to take this out. It goes clockwise to tighten it, counterclockwise to loosen it. So it's not really tight, you just hit it a little bit and it pops it right out. You want to have your bucket obviously underneath it to catch the oil, because it's going to come out pretty quickly once this plug does come out. So you unscrew it as far as you can until you can turn it by hand. Volkswagens are always a little bit more difficult than normal. Alright, bring your oil drain plug and pull it out, and we'll let all the oil drain out. You want to wear gloves when you do this too, because the oil on your hands is kind of messy for one, and it also causes a lot of health issues. So wear a pair of gloves. You could take them, throw them away, you don't have to worry about it. Alright, so now we're going to let this drain out, and while I let this drain out, there's something else I just want to show you real quick too. With Volkswagens, you got to be real careful. Actually, a lot of the foreign cars are like this too. You've got to be real careful, and what you've got to look for on the car, on the container is here. It says Volkswagen 502.00, and that's what the standard is for this particular car. If you look it up in your owner's manual, it'll tell you what the standard is. But make sure you use the correct oil, otherwise you're going to do engine damage and you'll be kicking yourself for not using the correct motor oil. So make sure you use the right oil for the right job. All right, let's get back underneath there. We'll let the oil finish draining out. Once the oil drains out thoroughly, we'll put the oil drain plug back in, and then we'll lower the car down and put change the oil filter. One thing I want to add too is when you change the oil filter, you've got to be careful. Obviously, I'm going to show you this when we go up top, but I want to point it out real quick here. You see this rubber ring on here? When you take the filter out up on top, you have to make sure that that rubber ring comes off and gets thrown away. You can't leave it on there, otherwise you're going to have two O-rings, and you're going to wind up with a pretty substantial mess once you start the car up. All right, so make sure that that O-ring comes off the old filter before you put the new filter on. We're going to let this drain out. We'll put the oil drain plug back in momentarily, and then we'll lower it down. Alright, now that we've drained out pretty thoroughly, we're going to put our oil drain plug back in. You're going to screw it in by hand. You don't put a ratchet on it or a wrench or whatever you use. You don't do that until after you have it screwed in, as far as you can screw it in by hand to make sure that it's not cross-threaded. And then you screw it in as far as you can. And you want to be careful, you don't want to strip the oil drain pan out. So you go as far as it will go in now, and you just go a little bit more, and you go just a little bit extra. Don't over tighten it, because you'll be stripping out the oil pan and you'll be replacing the oil pan. Alright, let's lower the car down, and I'll show you where the filter is. Okay, now that we've got the car down on the ground, this is where your oil filter is located, right over here. We're going to take that filter out, and we're going to replace it with a new one. Alright, now there's different tools that you can use to remove it. You can use the band style wrench, which is a little bit difficult to get to because of these lines. You could do it, but it's a little bit difficult getting underneath there. Or you can use one that actually goes on from the top, like this, over the top of the filter like that. And then you just take a wrench, or ratchet I should say, you put it on top of it like this, and you remove the oil filter like that. Fairly simple. once you have it loose enough, you can take it out by hand. All right, I'm going to put the camera down and I'll show you how that's done. You may lose a little bit of oil, but most of the time Volkswagens are not really too bad because they actually drain down already. So we unscrew the filter off the car. Unscrew it. Take it out and out. Now, remember what I told you about making sure that gasket was on here? The gasket's on here, so we don't have to worry about that. I'll show you on the housing where that actually goes. This is where the oil filter then screws into, right down in here. And it's a little bit, all right? So you just make sure this is all nice and clean, and you can screw your new filter on. So let me get the new filter, and what you normally do is you put a little bead of oil on the filter right here on the gasket so that it slides on fairly easy, and then again you screw that down by hand only. You don't have to go tight with a wrench or anything like that. You just screw it down as tight as you possibly can make it by hand. Okay. Now, I know from looking it up on the computer that this particular car, it takes about 4.5 quarts of oil. Best thing to do is put 4 quarts in it, start the car up, and then we'll recheck it again. All right, so let's get some oil in it. Remember, check those standards like I told you. You know, make sure it conforms to the Volkswagen standard, and it's 502.002 and then slash it also is 505. So make sure it conforms to whatever the standards are for your particular car. This one is the 502.00. So let's put the oil in it. We're going to put 4 quarts in, and then we're going to start it up. Okay, now that we have our 4 quarts in, even though it calls for 4.5 quarts, we're going to close the oil cap up. We're going to start the car for just a couple of minutes, or a couple of seconds I should say. All right, make sure your oil cap is on. Okay, now we'll let it sit for just a minute, and then we're going to take the dipstick out, wipe it down so it's nice and clean. And we know it's supposed to be between the minimum and the maximum. And we'll push it all the way down as far as it can go. Pull it back out, and we'll check. And we are going to put that other 1/2 quart in. And it's easier to put a 1/2 quart in than take a 1/2 quart out. Okay. Now we're going to check it again to make sure we're up to the full mark where it belongs. Again, take the stick out, wipe the stick down, push it all the way down as far as it can go. and then look to make sure it's exactly where it's supposed to be, which it is. It's right to the full mark right now. So that's it, we're all set. All right? And the only other thing you want to do is before you wrap the vehicle up, you want to definitely come down here and look at the oil filter area to make sure that the filter itself is nice and dry and that there's no leaks anywhere down underneath here, which you can see is bone dry. All right, so last thing we're going to do is we're going to take that funnel back out of the car. Funnel comes out, we'll put the cap back on, make sure the cap is locked in tight, and that's it, we're all set. All right, fairly easy when you know what you're doing. Take your time, and good luck. If you need anything, drop me a line, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.